Good morning. Today is the 22nd day of Sivan in the Jewish calendar. And the Torah portion is the Torah portion of Shalach, which we'll read, God willing, in Shul on Shabbos. And Shalach opens with a narrative that is somewhat disturbing. It's seen as very tragic in the scope of Jewish history, where God had taken the Jews out of Egypt with an objective of taking them to the Promised Land. And as they felt, it seemed they're now approaching, it's not that long a journey, they're approaching the Promised Land, ready to go in. Moses, at their request, Moses sent spies to check out the area, reconnaissance, before they went in. And the spies came back with a negative report. It was actually on Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of Av, which has been a day of sadness and mourning and misfortune, unfortunately, many times in Jewish history. That was the first recorded one we know, that they came back on Tisha B'Av and they said, 10 out of the 12 spies said, this is not a place for us, we can't go there, we can't be successful, we can't conquer it, and really are a downer and caused the Jews to pretty much reject going into Israel, which is why they ended up staying in the desert for 40 years until a new generation could take it. So looking at the Torah, trying to apply our lessons, see the idea of negative talk and gossip, of disparaging certainly a holy endeavor of taking Israel, that's clear. But if you don't have to drill down too deep to see that the very idea of sending spies was a problem. It was something that really is the very idea of Moses even sending the spies was somehow theologically offensive. And we could, if we want to take lessons, to be honest about it, see what we could do in our lives, and say, okay, what's the concept of sending spies that was wrong, that we could apply to our lives? But before we do that, I want to look at the entire Torah. You don't have to go too far, but the book after the 5 books of Moses, the book after Moses passes away, the book of Joshua, when Joshua prepares shortly after Moses passes away to say, okay, guys, we're finally going to go into Israel. What does he do? He sends spies. And there's nothing wrong. There's no problem. They're good people. So sending spies in and of itself, scouts, wasn't an offensive thing. It seems, because for Joshua it was good. Why was it not good for Moses, their generation? And one way of looking at it, which we can take to heart for ourselves, is that, and we'll start from Joshua. When Joshua was going in to Israel, he knew this was his responsibility. It was a divine mandate. It was what God and the Torah wanted from him and the people. There was never a question of if. The question was how, and they're human beings. They have brains. They have a responsibility to figure out the best strategy, the best approach, the best trajectory to follow to be able to implement what God wants of them. But not if they're going to implement. It's how to implement. And that's fine. It's excellent. That's what we're supposed to do, is try to look on the ground and say, how am I going to get this done? When the Jews approached Moses in the desert, it was a question of if. Can we really do this? Should we really do this? That's offensive. And in our lives, we've got things we need to do. The Torah sets out the different responsibilities and objectives for us. We know, looking at the world, say, that's who I need to be. That's where I need to go. To tackle that objective and say, now, what's the best way for me to do it? How am I going to get this done? What's the most effective way? What do I have to do to avoid pitfalls that I know, because I live my life, I know are there. And I'm trying to be honest with myself. That's perfect. That's exactly what we should do. But to get up in the morning or whatever, stay in the afternoon and say, my conscience tells me that's who I should be. But I don't know if I want to even go there. Maybe it just looks too tough. Maybe I just don't have the energy to go there. So it's not how I'm going to do it. It's if I'm going to do it. as, I guess, humanly understandable as we can all relate to that, it's what the Torah says, that's not the way to go. It's not the way to go. We are all the Jews in the desert heading towards our promised land. And our internal Moses needs to guide us there and find the best way there. But we should not question whether we're going there. God's at the wind at your back. We have we have things to accomplish today. The best me to be today. Set our sights on that firmly. Then have some internal strategy session from time to time figuring out how we're getting there. But let's not question if. I wish you a great day and a meaningful day when we make real progress in being who God created us to be.